How to knit a buttonhole row. I'm going to knit 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm just going to slip the next stitch by bringing the yarn forward,
slipping the stitch and taking the yarn back. I've done that because I want to reinforce the edge of the buttonhole. Now I'm going to bind off 4 stitches to make the hole. I'm going to keep the yarn where it is at the back of the knitting, and I'm going to slip a stitch, slip a stitch over, slip another stitch, slip another stitch over, slip a stitch, slip the last one over, and the 4th one, slip a stitch and slip the last one over. Now I've got 4 stitches here, my little buttonhole, and a sneaky leftover stitch here, which I'm going to put back onto the left needle. Now I'm going to turn my work and come back to my knitting yarn here. What I want to do now is cast on 4 stitches plus 1 more, because I cast off 4 stitches. So whatever number you cast off or bind off, you add 1 more when you're casting on. So I take my yarn back to the back and I cast on here, a cable cast on. So I put my needle through those 2 stitches.
I bring my yarn around and underneath and pull it through and twist it back onto the needle.
That's 1. Through the first 2, pull it through, twist it on. That's 2. Now this is a little bit tricky. I recommend practicing before you do it on your first time, for your first garment. Now I'm doing my 3rd stitch, pulling it tight but not too tight so I can still get my needle in between those. Doing my 4th stitch into the needle there, bit of wiggling around, and my 5th stitch. So there you've got them 1, 2, 3, 4 existing stitches, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 made stitches. Now I'm going to turn my work again, take the yarn to the back, and I want to reinforce this edge here so it doesn't stretch and become a big gaping ugly hole in my knitting. So what I'm going to do is slip this first stitch that hasn't been knit over onto my right needle, and then take the last stitch that I cast on, that extra one, and slip it over. So again, just taking that thread, that stitch, and bringing it over the top, and then you pull tight and there's your buttonhole. And then you just continue knitting to the end of the row. How cool is that?